Since you're here, you most likely already know everything that's been going on with Mario 64 as of lately, with Wet Dry World and the negative emotional aura from the Iceberg and the Skybox, etc., and as well as all the other general things about it that have led people to start making these little fun, creepy things about it that are based on nostalgia of playing the game as a kid and having that wanderer's attitude. And that's been reminding me lately, and other people have noticed too, which I'm glad about, is that this has a similar vibe to what was going on around 10 years ago when creepypastas were first branching up. And we got stuff like this based on other games such as Majora's Mask is the most famous example. Mario 64 was also there too, as well as Ocarina of Time, which is also starting to have a comeback with that slowly. And a really big one back then was Pokemon, particularly the first generation, and that was, of course, because of Lavender Town and all of the spooky, scary, creepypasta stories that sprung up from it, as well as just its general haunting vibes. And I wanted to talk about how the stuff going on with Mario 64 now is almost just like that, but just more upped in quality as tech and skill and exposure has gone up with it. And back then, basically any scary thing you would hear about Pokemon had to do with Lavender Town or some other rumor regarding it, talking about other things such as Mew under the truck and Bill's Garden. Other myths were a huge thing with Pokemon back then. And that's basically parallel to the Mario 64 Iceberg that's happening now, where Wet Dry World is this big main thing to talk about creepy stuff. But it's also based on nostalgia, and there's other rumors of Mario 64 that have sprung up, such as secret areas in the castle and El's Real and all of that. Now, a bit of a difference is that Lavender Town, of course, was always meant to be a horror place, at least for a game that's suitable for young kids. While Wet Dry World has this much more mysterious vibe because it doesn't seem like it was intentionally meant to be unsettling, but it most certainly is with all of the evidence you've seen from it. But yeah, while that kept on going on and on with Pokemon 10 years ago, it unfortunately started to get a bit of a bad reputation from repetitiveness and also just overexposure of the bad stuff compared to the good stuff. I personally blame Sonic.exe for completely ruining the image of creepypastas, but that's a whole entire different story. Just to say it really quick, I know that on this channel I make fun of creepypastas a lot by making up weird joke ones. However, it's mainly a tongue-in-cheek thing because I actually was really obsessed with creepypastas back then, and I still kind of like them today for a comforting purpose. If it's about an old video game or a cartoon or something, mainly video game the former, then it just puts me back in the sense of nostalgia wander and putting myself in there hey, what if I found this while playing the game casually in a cozy room one day? And that's what I like the most about them, actually, which is why I mainly do humorous ones rather than ones that are just meant to be scary and end up failing. And the joke ones that I do, and listening to bullshit creepypasta storytime a lot, I actually still like to kind of have this mix of yeah, it's obviously a joke pasta, but it has this still a certain written quality to it that makes it give that genuine vibe of this try to make a setting and stuff of sitting in your room one day and playing games for fun or watching a cartoon like Rugrats or stumbling upon it some weird night. I don't know, I just really love the atmosphere that builds up. And all of the stuff with Mario going on has helped it too, with people saying that it feels like what you would see in a dream about the game, in regards to some of the breaking the barrier hacks and stuff. And I hope that unlike this, while it seems to have slowed down a bit already, for me at least, until I got another upbringing just recently and started making this video over it, I really hope that this doesn't start to get a negative reputation like what happened with Creepypasta and just be shunned upon close-mindedly without looking into anything open-mindedly at all. it seems like the worst thing that could happen is just like spooky, bloody VHS filter Wario head taking over. And it seems like that unfortunately has gotten to people where they think that's all it is, but it doesn't seem as big where people like know better of where to find the quality stuff and what makes it special. That was also going on like 10 to 9 years ago with Creepypasta, but I'm hoping that this one has the lasting potential stronger and that people have learned a bit more from that. And speaking of which, to tie it even closer together is like other stuff has been getting revived from 10 years ago because of this. Like the author of Ben Drowned has been doing stuff a lot. Like I don't know if it's like completely connected directly, but you know what I mean. Like it's been happening at the same time, and this definitely had like a liability to it for other things. And what that is that like Wario Apparition, Tailstall has returned to a certain channel with his own apparition. But Tailstall, of course, was a popular myth for Sonic R back then, and like a target of like creepy stories and pastas. And that got exhausted eventually, but I personally always loved him, and I'm glad to not see him go, not so much for spooky bad videos, but just the idea of the character, and I think he's absolutely adorable. So like that had a direct cause from Mario 64 stuff, even if the stuff from the Ben Drowned author necessarily didn't. And I'll probably be linking these videos that I'm talking about in the description. But for the Tailstall stuff, and the same person also does like fan-made anti-piracy things for other video games, which is also has similar vibes to this, and I really love it. He did one for Sonic R, and then later on he connected it with this most recent Tailstall video as of now. And I really hope he does more like that. But anyway, some of the things that the comments have been saying that I've really liked is how, one, this old stuff is being revived. People have noticed that and pointed it out. And I even heard somebody say that we might be entering a second golden age of the internet, which would be really great, because I kind of miss the internet from a bit back then. And another thing, which is a comment that I really loved, it was on the Tailstall Apparition video, I believe so. And somebody said that they really liked this personalized copy stuff that's been happening with games and how it's been spreading to other ones aside from Mario 64. And the reason for that is that it goes back to those stories from like 10 years ago and myths and creepypastas and stuff. But it treats it as if like this is the explanation for like why those popped up when you want to give like a real world context for it. Or fictional, I don't know, you know what I mean. But yeah, like the reason why stuff like Tailstall or creepy Lavender Town things or Ben Drowned and Mario stuff popped up is because people had these weird personalized copies as kids and they're sharing their experiences. Or they just happen to find some random weird creepy ass copy. But yeah, to sum it up, Wet Dry World has become much like Lavender Town in the sense how it builds creepy atmosphere based on nostalgia memories, or just the idea of finding some unsettling thing in the comfort of your own home. And it also has other aspects of the game that mainly surround it. However, I feel like that this has potential to go on even further now that people have had experience of those stories from 10 years ago and can relate to them. And also realize what makes something good and something not great better, and hopefully be more open-minded to filtering out crap, not assuming everything is garbage. But yes, thank you for watching this, and I hope that this take wasn't a garbled mess and that's good enough to be the final. I'll see you all then.